Step into a realm where history, faith, and ambition converged to forge one of the world's most enduring metropolises. We journey back over a millennium to witness the birth of Cairo, a city meticulously planned to embody victory and challenge the established order of the Islamic world. This is the story of the Fatimid dynasty, their audacious vision, and the indelible mark they left on Egypt and beyond. Before Cairo's majestic walls rose from the desert, Egypt was a land of ancient heritage, yet politically fragmented. For centuries, it had been a province first under the Umayyads, then the Abbasids, often governed by semi-autonomous local dynasties. The Ayyubids, a Turkic dynasty, held sway in the mid-10th century, maintaining a fragile peace. Meanwhile, far to the west, a revolutionary movement was gathering strength. The Fatimids, an Ismaili Shiite dynasty, claimed direct descent from Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad, and her husband Ali ibn Abi Talib. They asserted their right to the imamate and the Caliphate, directly challenging the Sunni Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad. Their rise in Ifriqiya, modern Tunisia, was marked by fervent missionary activity and military prowess. Their initial capital, Al-Madiyya, symbolized their messianic aspirations. However, their ultimate goal was the heartland of the Islamic world, and Egypt, with its strategic location and immense wealth, was the crucial stepping stone. The Fatimids envisioned a unified Islamic empire under their Ismaili banner, and Egypt offered the perfect base for expansion into the Levant and beyond. In 969 AD, the Fatimid general Jawhar al-Sikili, a brilliant military strategist, led a formidable army into Egypt. The Ayyubid forces, weakened by internal strife and popular discontent, offered little resistance. Fustat, the existing capital, fell swiftly, marking a pivotal moment in Egyptian history. Jawhar, acting on the orders of the Fatimid Caliph Imam al-Muizz-Din Allah, immediately set about establishing a new capital. This was no mere administrative relocation, it was a profound statement of intent. The site chosen just north of Fustat was carefully selected for its strategic advantages and symbolic potential. The city was initially named Al-Mansuriyya, the Victorious, a common name for new capitals in the Islamic world. However, legend has it that as the city's foundations were being laid, the planet Mars, Al-Kahir in Arabic, was ascendant in the sky. This celestial alignment was interpreted as an auspicious omen, leading to the city's enduring name, Al-Kahira, the Victorious, or the Subduer. This name perfectly encapsulated the Fatimid ambition to conquer and dominate. The founding of Al-Kahira was a monumental undertaking, reflecting the Fatimids' sophisticated understanding of urban planning and their desire for grandeur. Unlike Fustat, which had grown organically, Cairo was a planned city, designed as a royal enclosure and military garrison. Its initial purpose was to house the Caliph, his court, and the Fatimid army, separate from the general populace of Fustat. The city was enclosed by massive brick walls, punctuated by imposing gates like Bab al-Futu and Bab Zuwayla. Within these walls, Jawhar laid out a grid plan centered around the Caliph's palaces. The Great East Palace and the Lesser West Palace, connected by a grand thoroughfare, formed the heart of the Fatimid administrative and ceremonial life. These palaces were not just residences, they were symbols of power, adorned with lavish decorations and surrounded by extensive gardens. The architectural style introduced by the Fatimids was distinctive, blending elements from North Africa, Byzantium, and earlier Islamic traditions. It emphasized monumental scale, intricate stucco work, and innovative use of arches and domes. This architectural legacy would profoundly influence subsequent Egyptian and Islamic art. Among the most enduring and significant structures founded by the Fatimids was the Jami Al-Azhar, the most resplendent mosque. Established in 970 AD, just a year after Cairo's founding, it was initially conceived as the congregational mosque for the new capital. However, its purpose quickly expanded beyond mere worship. Al-Azhar rapidly evolved into a premier center for Ismaili Shiite learning and propagation. It housed a vast library, attracted scholars from across the Islamic world, and offered instruction in theology, law, philosophy, and the sciences. The Fatimid caliphs actively promoted intellectual discourse, seeing Al-Azhar as a vital tool for disseminating their doctrines and legitimizing their rule. While its primary function under the Fatimids was to promote Ismailism, Al-Azhar's academic rigor and extensive curriculum laid the groundwork for its future as a universal center of Islamic scholarship. Even after the Fatimids, it adapted and continued to thrive, becoming the world's oldest continuously operating university and a bastion of Sunni learning, a testament to its foundational strength. For over 2 centuries, the Fatimid Caliphate in Egypt presided over a period of remarkable cultural, intellectual, and economic flourishing. Cairo became a vibrant hub, attracting merchants, artisans, scholars, and artists from across the Mediterranean and beyond. The city's markets teemed with goods from east and west, facilitated by the Fatimids' control over crucial trade routes, including the Red Sea. The Fatimids were renowned patrons of the arts and sciences. Their court supported astronomers, physicians, mathematicians, and philosophers. The Dar al-Hikmah, or House of Wisdom, established in 1004 AD, rivaled Baghdad's famed institution. It housed an unparalleled library, laboratories, and observatories, fostering an environment of intense intellectual inquiry. Scholars like Ibn al-Haytham, al-Hazan, a pioneer in optics, conducted groundbreaking research under Fatimid patronage. Religious tolerance, though sometimes tested, was generally a hallmark of Fatimid rule. While Ismailism was the state religion, Sunnis, Coptic Christians, and Jews were largely permitted to practice their faiths. This policy contributed to the diverse and cosmopolitan character of Fatimid Cairo, fostering a rich tapestry of cultures and ideas. The caliphs often engaged in public processions and festivals, showcasing their authority and connecting with the populace. Despite its initial brilliance, the Fatimid Caliphate eventually succumbed to a combination of internal weaknesses and external pressures. Succession disputes, the growing power of viziers and military commanders, and economic instability gradually eroded the central authority of the Caliph Imam. The later Fatimid caliphs became increasingly isolated figures, their power diminished by ambitious viziers who often ruled in their stead. External threats also mounted. The Crusades, launched by European powers in the late 11th century, posed a significant challenge to the Islamic world. Egypt, with its strategic position and wealth, became a target. The Fatimids, weakened and internally divided, struggled to mount an effective defense. This vulnerability attracted the attention of ambitious leaders from neighboring regions. The final act of the Fatimid drama unfolded in the mid-12th century. Nur al-Din Zengi, the powerful Sunni ruler of Syria, saw an opportunity to expand his influence and unite the Islamic world against the Crusaders. He dispatched his general Shirkuh and his nephew, Salah al-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, to intervene in Egypt's internal power struggles. Salah al-Din, a Kurdish general, arrived in Egypt as part of Nur al-Din's forces. Through a series of shrewd political maneuvers and military victories, he consolidated his power, eventually becoming the vizier to the last Fatimid caliph, Al-Adid. In 1171 AD, upon Al-Adid's death, Salah al-Din made the decisive move. He abolished the Fatimid Caliphate, ordered the Friday sermon Khutbah to be recited in the name of the Abbasid Caliph in Baghdad, and formally reinstated Sunni Islam as the state religion of Egypt. This marked the end of over 2 centuries of Ismaili Shiite rule in Egypt and the beginning of the Ayyubid dynasty. Salah al-Din systematically dismantled the Fatimid administrative and religious structures. Al-Azhar, once a bastion of Ismaili learning, was temporarily closed and then re-established as a center for Sunni scholarship. The vast Fatimid libraries were dispersed and their palaces repurposed. However, the Fatimid legacy proved too profound to be entirely erased. Their architectural marvels, their contributions to urban planning, and the intellectual foundations they laid at institutions like Al-Azhar continued to shape Cairo. The city they founded, Al-Qahira, endured, evolving into the vibrant metropolis we know today, a testament to their vision and ambition. The story of Cairo and the Fatimids is a compelling narrative of ambition, innovation, and transformation. From a meticulously planned royal city, Al-Qahira grew into a global center of power, learning, and commerce. The Fatimids, despite their eventual overthrow, left an indelible mark on Egypt's cultural, religious, and architectural landscape. Their vision of a victorious city, a beacon of their unique interpretation of Islam, continues to resonate through the ancient stones and bustling streets of modern Cairo. Delve deeper into this fascinating period of Islamic history. Explore the intricate details of Fatimid art, architecture, and intellectual achievements. Visit the historic sites of Cairo, walk through the gates they built, and imagine the grandeur of their palaces. Share your insights and questions in the comments below, and subscribe for more journeys into the rich tapestry of our shared past.